The Toronto Raptors are up next. They kind of have options galore.
So many good options.
I went with OG Anunoby because hey, that he's not Chris Boucher.
It was going to be one of those two. It's your own fault for truly loving two players on the same team. If you were a little bit less smitten with one of them, this would have been far less painful for you. But I see that you're shedding tears right now for Chris Boucher because you couldn't pick him here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm afraid that Khem Birch is going to take too many of his minutes. Yeah. I don't know how OG gets any better on defense. He was all defense when we went through the exercise for me. He's one of the 2 or 3, if not the absolute best on-ball defender in the NBA. This is someone who can defend every position, essentially. When you had Siakam or Chris Boucher on the floor, there were still stretches with OG Anunoby was guarding the 5. I'm looking at his offense. He's kind of proved himself as a three-point shooter. There was more on-ball stuff to his game last year where it wasn't just attacking straight lines, yet it wasn't really plumbing the depths of his handle either. It was making quicker decisions, could drop off passes. I think we see more of that. I'm curious to see if we see more ISOs from him. Do they post him up more, just let him go from the point of attack? I think the team is set up to let him go through another year of self-discovery on offense. Just because my hot take would be if the Raptors don't make a move, I think they're a top 4 or 5 team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they're a legit title contender because they're better in the regular season the way their defense can play. But you have Siakam, you have Fred VanVleet, and then sort of the on-ball opportunity is wide open after that. Goran Dragic is still there. I don't expect him to finish the season in Toronto. Obviously, if you trade for Ben Simmons, that materially changes what OG Anunoby is doing on offense. But you have Malachi Flynn. Gary Trent Jr. can do some stuff off the balance. I don't know what type of license over the offense you give Scotty Barnes as a rookie. I would argue it should probably be a controllable usage for him. So I think that OG Anunoby is going to have the chance to really just augment, or rather expand his offensive horizons. And even if he doesn't, let's say they trade for Ben Simmons or they want to give Goran Dragic stays there all year and they want to really work Malachi Flynn and Scotty Barnes into the fold. This is someone who can just still do damage as a higher volume three-point shooter who puts the ball on the floor and just roasts guys in open space or on closeouts. And it would not shock me. Like you had mentioned, I think you had said, could you see Fred VanVleet averaging 25 points per game this season? And maybe we'll be getting into Fred VanVleet in a second. I don't know. If you told me that OG Anunoby averaged 18, 19, 20 points per game next year, I'd believe it.
And I wouldn't blame you. There are definitely options galore on this team. I mean, OG Anunoby, as you picked, Chris Boucher, Gary Trent Jr. could have an argument. You could make a case for Malachi Flynn, maybe even Precious Achiuwa. There's so many reasonable cases to be made. But I am ultimately going to go with VanVleet, and it's because of what you just mentioned at the end there. I think that he is in a prime spot to go from a player who has not yet crested above 20 points per game to a guy who's averaging 25 to 26. And that is a gigantic leap. The reason that I think he can realistically make it is partly because he is so good in on-ball settings and off-ball settings. He's learned so much playing alongside Kyle Lowry, who is no longer there to take away touches. I think he alone can do it. I also think he has the teammates because I too believe that Toronto, as currently constructed, could be a top 4 or 5 seed to draw enough defensive attention away from him.
Spicy
that it's more likely to happen.
Right now, no other moves are made by these teams. Who's better during the regular season next year, the Knicks or the Raptors?
The Raptors.
I'm with you.
Yeah. It's not even hate. It's not hate to the Knicks at all. I think that's another really well-constructed team. But Toronto has so much upside that could mesh together so well. So yeah, like if OG Anunoby is averaging 18 points per game, I think that means that VanVleet is averaging 25-ish because OG has sucked away enough defensive attention that they're the two scorers alongside Pascal Siakam, who gets to settle into a little bit less of a featured role, thrive even more on defense. That's how this happens if it is as good as we expect.